Hello world, YouTube. Shout out to everybody. I want to shout out to Walter Hampton. He's one of my favorite YouTubers and I do watch him. I really like his insight and his input on the gay community, on the HIV status and things like that. And he recently made a video that I think you guys should go over and watch him because he gives you a perspective, a different insight on STDs and communicable diseases such as HIV and others as well. And I really appreciate him. I really appreciate you, Walter Hampton, for educating us and speaking out on this from your perspective as a gay man, and you make no apology of it, and I respect you. I respect you for that, and you see my commentation on your videos, and I really like you a lot, and I would love for us to do some collaborations. I'm a nurse. I became a nurse, and I grew up in a time when there was this, in East St. Louis, when there was this guy, his name was Boss Man. It was all over the talk shows, all over the news back in 93, 94, and he had gave a lot of women HIV in East St. Louis, and this was huge. This was like a big deal back then, and I remember being one of the young girls back then and how afraid we was to catch AIDS. Like, we would literally break down and cry over that. And I'm glad of that experience because it taught me to protect myself, and it taught me to be tested and to be leery and to be wary of that type of thing. And I grew up with girls, young girls. One of them was a beautiful girl, and it was this guy who was married, and he used to frequent prostitutions in East St. Louis. It was really bad. Transvestites, and back then that's what they called them. Nowadays it's LGBT and LGPMNOP now, and they call them trannies. But back then when they were just called transvestite, that's a man. That's a man dressed as a woman. We didn't know no better back then. And I even have an uncle who was gay. And that's why I like Walter, because he's keeping it real 100%. And, I got two aunties who are also in the lifestyle. And, like my uncle who was gay, he went ahead. He went to San Francisco, California. I'm in California now. And, and I think it was a distant cousin on my third cousin's side who had HIV, but it was hidden. These people didn't tell people they were gay and, all that, and speak out about it and try to educate people about it and all that. These people was on drugs, and I don't know, maybe they were selling themselves for selling themselves for drugs and contracted that. Hey, you guys, I did a mask on my face. That's what I want to say. I guess I'll just do another video about that. But anyway, it was really something back then in East St. Louis when this man was giving AIDS out to people. And his name was Boss Man. Well, that was his nickname. It's online. I'm going to dig his name up, but I'm sure it's online. You can look the story up yourself. And what happened was, people started finding out that he was giving AIDS to a lot of the young girls in East St. Louis. And he was married. Check this out. The man was married with kids, but he was still seeing a lot of young girls. And how he was getting these young girls was, we used to have this skate rink called Skate King in East St. Louis, and all the young people would go there and skate, skate. And some people, just bad on them skates, And he had a nice car, which that didn't impress me. A lot of people had cars, but for some, poor people, poor girls growing up in these poor areas and neighborhoods, when a man got a car, that's easily captivates them, and they can get. Ooh, I'm trying to find some light, y'all. That can easily captivate these young girls and I don't know, that maybe that's what it took to get some of these girls. But the point of the story is, a lot of these women had caught HIV from this man, boss man. And when people started finding out about it, some of the brothers back then was going heads up with this nigga, like, hold on, nigga, you gave my sister AIDS and my mama AIDS and my auntie or whatever. And so niggas started shooting at him. And he did get shot up a couple times in East St. Louis. And I heard he had to wear a colostomy bag. And people, you know, he came from one of these families where the grandmama had 82 grandkids, okay? This is some real stuff. I'm going to have to do some videos on East St. Louis because it was really off the hook. But I never could understand why he was able to get away with that. To this day, I don't understand how these people in these black areas, neighborhoods, get all this HIV and get away with it and giving it to these women. And then when women would find out, people was some of the women he was with was defending him. But he always messed with young, underage girls. See, that's the key with these men. That's how I got caught up too. Old men messing with, you know, not that I ever messed with somebody old, but they were a lot more seasoned than me, being naive. And, a lot of these men don't mean young women no good. They're not marrying them. That's just the bottom line. They're using them. They are using them, and it's not right because, you know, like now they call it child trafficking and all that. And, you know, they call it child trafficking, and it's always been a problem. You know, they're trying to act like that's a new problem. It's always been a problem in ghettos and poor areas, and diseases and HIV and all that. This is now really affecting more, is epidemic and pandemic. And now pandemic is worldwide, but epidemically is really affecting the poor people in these poor areas and poor neighborhoods. It's sad. It's very, very sad. And usually nothing gets done about it until it starts affecting other cultures and other races outside of the black community. And let's be honest, that is what it is. And that's, you know, how they start to deal with it. But for me, I think that people with HIV need to be tattooed. I'm serious. They need to start putting tattoos on these people for doing these things, these crimes and injustices against people, against babies. Now these men are having sex and giving these diseases to babies. How do you get yourself hard? How do you even get how do you even get a hard on for a child and go to jail and raping people? And I mean, how do you get aroused? I can never understand that. I ain't ever gonna understand that. Get aroused for a baby. Get aroused to rape people and stuff. You know, I got a problem with that. My brother was raped, you know, in East St. Louis. I got some stories to tell. Now, I'm gonna tell it. I'm telling it all. Because we were affected by these men. They trying to blame women. The reason why women in this condition, it's not something that just started 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This has been happening. This has been happening to women for quite a while, for a long time. And HIV is serious. You know, this is going to be part 1. I'm going to go ahead and start another video, because I got to rambling on about some things, and I'm going to go ahead and get into a little bit more specifics, details on the next one, part 2. Thank you.